Okay, I'm here with Bruce, who he and I have actually coached together 9+ years now, isn't it? Time flies when you're having fun, right?
That's right. Yep.
I have coached with you the longest, but we've been through a lot of storms. Like we've been through a lot of different markets and a lot of changes and a lot of adjustments to your business. So when you came to me and we started working together, you were kind of thinking, is real estate still where I want to be? Have I, you'd been in the business a long time. I think you've been in the business as long as I have, 20+ years now. And you were kind of wondering, is it time to transition into something else? Is it, or do I want to double down on real estate and really try to figure this out and figure out what's working? And it's not that you didn't have a successful business, you just wanted to streamline it a little more and make it, and just scale it up, correct?
That's right. I had been in the business for 9 or 10 years, something like that, prior to meeting with you. And at that point, I would say it was burned out because I didn't feel like it was focused on what I needed to be focused on. It felt like it was just kind of going from one thing to the other and not knowing where to go or what to do. And I mean, I had an idea, but I wasn't getting any guidance or any help in doing any of that. So, and I felt like I was working harder than I actually
Yeah.
should have for what I was getting from it. So I thought, okay, I need to do something different. I either need to get a 9 to 5 or I need to do something different as a real estate agent. And I thought, if I can find something or someone to help me, then maybe I can keep working as a real estate agent, which that's what I preferred just because I had spent 9 or 10 years doing it. And I mean, I already had experience in doing deals and all that sort of thing. But at that point, it was like, okay, I need to have a steady income, something I can, rely on. And then I met you. Felt like I was, felt like I was going in the right direction. I got some
Awesome.
good
Awesome.
guidance
Yeah.
and felt like I was more focused.
Like I said before, we've been through a lot of different scenarios and different markets and even different lead sources, things like that. We've made a lot of pivots, right, when we needed to. Tell me a little bit about your experience coaching with me and with the Accelerate community and all of that, and just overall, how has your experience been?
Well, like as I mentioned, I needed to have something that helped me push me in the right direction, and I feel like the systems that you have in place and things that you've uh, reinforced with me, like consistency and choosing a path and saying, okay, you need to choose something, do something, and stick to it. And I feel like that advice really resonated with me. Consistency, I always think that word all the time, because in real estate, if you're not doing something, and this is what I got caught in not doing prior to meeting you, and that is I would just jump around from one thing to the other. So I would work, expireds for sale by owners. I do circle prospecting, knock on doors, do open houses. And I would do a little bit of everything, but never concentrate on one area and focus long enough to let things take. And I think you've been able to help me figure out that that's the key right there, and sticking to something and being able to be consistent with my work and treating it like a job. Everyone wants to think, okay, you get in real estate and you can do it part time. You can work your own hours, which is fine. Yeah, that I mean, you can work your own hours, but if you don't work on your business, you don't lead generate, you don't do those things, you don't have a job, you don't get a paycheck. And yeah, I think that's kind of what I pivoted to working with you. I feel like I got more of that, and it changed my mindset and gave me more confidence.
It's so easy for us as agents to jump on the next flashy thing, right? There's always the next flashy thing. And yeah, it's hard because
Right.
what I've
Right.
noticed about real estate is because it takes a little while to get up and running, and no matter what lead source you're doing, no matter what you're doing, it takes a little while to kind of dial in on that and really get it all working as 100%. And in the meantime, there's all these other flashy things being
Right.
thrown at us that look way better because they're not giving us the pain that this other thing that we're working on has given us, and we give up too early. And that's something that I actually really admire about you is you're definitely more of like a steady Eddie. Like you'll just keep going and you'll keep pushing through and stay on track with what you've decided is how you want to run your business. And I think that's been huge for your business. So I commend you on that. I think it's awesome that you've broken through some of those barriers that other agents have been hung up on. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's taken me a long time. I'm a little slow when it comes to that kind of stuff, but yeah, I mean, like you said, it's I always just think about it like the dog
Yeah.
in Up that sees a squirrel or doesn't see a squirrel. It's like, hey, squirrel, hey, there's something over there. There's something over there. And we always get caught. I went to so many webinars, seminars, and felt okay. This is going to get me pumped up. This is going to get me to the next thing, and then I get back to my office and get back to my old habits. And so it took me a while, but I finally feel like had the right mindset and thought, okay, if you're really going to do this for a living, it has to be a career, has to be a job, has to be focused, consistent, working every day and carving it out, setting a schedule, and doing that.
Some of the pieces to this business are not as exciting as maybe TV makes them out to be and things like that. And so sometimes it is pushing through
Yeah.
that boring stuff and just staying focused. So yeah, sometimes it's harder than others, that's for sure. But
I don't know how many times I've talked to you when I've gotten in a rut and feel like, okay, how do I get out of this? And then we talk about it and we discuss, okay, get back to basics and do what you know works, getting on the phone or whatever it is that you're going to do to generate your business. And sometimes that extra reinforcement from someone else gets you back on track and gives you an idea or kind of tweaks things enough because yeah, it is boring sometimes to do the same thing
yeah,
over and over
yeah.
again.
So when we first started working together, I remember you coming to me and saying, "You know what? I've been doing this. It's not that I haven't been successful, but I'm really looking for to lock down a system. I really want to systemize my business." And then we worked on that for a while. And like I said, as markets change, you have to adjust the system and change things around a little bit. Tell me about that experience. What was that like to try to build that out yourself versus once you joined up here and started working with me, and we were able to kind of put you into some systems that were already created, so you didn't have to do all that yourself.
Yeah, it made things so much easier because, like I was saying, you can get distracted by things that you aren't making you money or that are, the things you should be doing, and some of that is trying to create a system in your own mind. You're thinking, I'm going to create a system to be able to do this, and there's so many aspects of it that it distracts you and you don't get done with your lead generating or whatever. If you're always trying to create something, it's like going to a seminar and saying, okay, yeah, I'm going to try this, and then you spend hours doing what that seminar taught you or was talking to you about. You get distracted by that. Whereas, by myself, I that's like I said, I was all over the place, but I did have some success just because get lucky every once in a while hitting on some things, but I would never stick to it. As soon as I got success, I'd be like, okay, I'm bored, I'm moving on, go to the next thing, right? When I started with you, there were certain structures, systems that were in place that you would talk to me about and said, okay, this is how you want to do it. If you do this and do it consistently, then you'll see results from it. And that's what happened. For example, now I utilize the expired funnel system, and I think that works great. Working on my SOI funnel system as well, going through and talking to people. It's so easy to do to have those things in place, knowing that everything is there and you don't have to worry about all the exterior stuff and have to worry about what you're going to do next because it's already there and you just have to follow.
But also just changing directions is really difficult. Like when you're focused on one thing and then you have to switch gear, you're focused on lead generating, then you have to switch gears and build out postcard to send out to your database, it's just exhausting. It just takes so much out of your day.
Very true, very true. And then I've just started this in the last probably year or so. Uh, get a calendar together. That is a focus that you've always said. Have a calendar, a to-do list, a daily task list. What I do is I'll put in on a daily basis when I'm going to do my lead generation, when I'm going to work on social media, when I'm going to take a walk, whatever it is. I put it in place. Now sometimes I don't. I should say almost never is it exactly to the minute because something always sidetracks me. It's just not that simple. But so it's like when you punch in and punch out at a job, you punch in and your job is do your job during that time that you're punched in because that's what you're getting paid for. And that's how I try to set my mind there when I'm looking at my calendar and I say, okay, from 11 until 1, I am working on expireds and making my expired calls. And then from 3 to 4 in the afternoon, I'm working on my database or my SOI. I try to stick to that as much as I possibly can.
We love the end result of lead generating, but it's the beginning. The steps are not nearly as exciting. But when we get that person that's like, yeah, I'm actually ready to go. That's exciting. So we gotta keep pushing ourselves to
Right,
get there. And
right.
I love that how you time block. Now your time blocking, it's not the same every day, right? You adjust and fluctuate as needed, and you work it around everyday life. That's something that you've gotten really good at, actually, over the last few years, especially, is really focusing on making it a part of your life and not making your life a part of your job.
Right. Yeah. Every night I try to really quickly put in a schedule for the next day. For example, today put your disappointment in, and I had a listing appointment earlier, so I'll put those in and then work around those things. But yeah, I have
Yeah,
to do it day to day. It's not and
right.
it's boring if you do the same thing every day because
Yeah, you gotta have a little
then it's
variety,
even
right?
worse.
Speaking of variety and boredom and whatnot, one thing that I really admire about you and your business is you take a fair number of vacations. Like you really try to get away and keep your business going. I was talking to another client earlier today on a call like this, and she was saying whenever things get slow, I just go on vacation. And you and I have talked about that too many times, but
Yeah.
you take that to heart. You really try to get out there and enjoy life, which I admire. Up until recently was not a big part of my life, and it's still not as big of a part as I would like it. I love to work, but I have a really hard time separating that sometimes. And I know that you and I have had those conversations too. But
Hmm.
I love that you get out and you enjoy your successes, and the whole time that you're on vacation or wherever you're at, business is happening because you have these systems in place. And so I'm sure it makes it a lot easier to feel like you can get away, but at the same time, never fails to happen when you go out of town. You're going to have somebody reaching out to you, so you gotta somehow you got to work that out. But everybody talks about work life balance. I don't know if it's ever balanced, right? It's constantly a tug of war, but you're at least trying. So that's pretty awesome. But you're one of the few people I know that take 2 week vacations. I've never taken a 2 week vacation in my life. I am so jealous every time you go on a 2 week vacation. So you're getting it figured out. I guess that's my point. You're working through it, and you're figuring it out. You're way ahead of me on that. So
Yeah. As much as I like working, I mean, I'm not a big fan of working, but this if I'm going to work, I might as well do this, and I I just can't see myself doing anything different. That is the advantage of working for yourself and being able to kind of work around these things. So you have to make sure that when you're working. But yeah, for me, it's really important to have a work life balance and being able to travel. I like to travel. My wife likes to travel, so we do that as much as we possibly can, and it kind of helps me reset and gets me motivated. you
Yeah.
know.
Can you give any final thoughts of just the overall experience of working with Accelerate or working with me, and any parting thoughts, I guess?
I think that as at the beginning I mentioned when I joined and started working with you, I was pretty much, I mean, I thought I was done with real estate, to be honest with you, and I didn't really feel like I had a path forward. But I feel like over the past, this is 9 years, 9 years, yeah, we've gone through some bumps and had to pivot a lot. But I feel like when I pivoted, I felt confident that I would be able to reset myself and get back on the path and be able to, still shoot for my goals and feel confident in what I'm doing and knowing that I'm going to be able to meet my goals and appreciate that part of it. I think the systems that are in place that I have in place, the mindset that I have, and even the details about the language and negotiating and everything that's part of our business. We can talk about the systems, but it's not only that. It's all of the other things we don't always talk about, like those negotiating and the language that we speak and communication and that sort of thing. That you've been able to help me recognize that how important those things are, and that not only that, but there's a lot of nuance to it, and that the other thing that I've learned is that you can't really take it too seriously. If you do, you're gonna get worked up. I mean, that's what happens to me. If I get too serious about things, I and worry about too much, then I get off track. And for me, it's okay. Knowing all of these things helps me kind of bring everything together, and then I feel a little bit more confident, less stressed, and I think all of those things that you've given me, all the resources that you've given me, have kind of helped me with all of that.
The more information we have, the more confident we're going to be, and the sooner we have that, the more confident we're going to be. So if we feel like we're going into a situation early and we're not on our heels trying to quickly get our feet under us and trying to get comfortable with it, I think that helps a lot. Just so that we, like even what we're dealing with now
Mm-hmm.
with some of the changes with buyer agent commissions and things like that, like we're trying to get ahead of that information now because we know what's coming. We have some time to prepare for it. It makes a lot more sense to prepare and be ready and be the first agents that have a process and a plan. And I think if we can do that, then it's a lot easier to go out in the community and in our database and our SOI and things like that and talk about it and help people understand what's going on. Be that resource for our clients. That's something that I know you are really good at. I know your clients love working with you. They trust you. They wouldn't go anywhere else. You've built a really amazing brand over the last 20 years. First 10 you did all on your own, and even the last 10 you did mostly on your own. But I was glad I was able to help, just provide some systems and things like that so you could minimize the work, I guess. Not that there's not a ton of work.
For sure.
Just build a brand. I think you've got a pretty amazing brand. It's been a really cool experience to be a part of it.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I feel really good about where I'm at, and know that I don't worry too much about things like having to pivot with the commissions and that sort of thing, because I know we've talked about that and communicate with the buyers and sellers about how we're going to deal with it.
What would be some advice that you might give an agent? Maybe they've been in the business 10 plus years. They're trying to figure out what their next move is. Maybe they're brand new to the business and they don't know any moves. They're just trying to figure out a consistent way to make an income, to support themselves and their families, and feel confident. One thing that you mentioned is you don't really worry about pivots. You don't have that fear that I think so many agents do that don't have that solid base underneath them that you've built. What would be some great advice for those kinds of agents that they're just trying to get a solid base in their business?
There's a lot there. Hopefully, you're not 10 years in like I was to start. I think you need to start early and and deciding quickly what you're going to focus on. Pick something that if you're a new agent, pick something that you feel comfortable with, and just take the bull by the horns and move forward. Don't try not to get distracted. Don't worry about what others are doing. Whatever you feel like is good for you, whether it's making phone calls or going to open houses, doing open houses all the time, or just calling people that you know, your SOI. That's probably the best way to get your business going, no matter where you're at, whether you're 10 years in or you're brand new. Is start talking to people that you know, people that you've met, and just start you know consistently communicating with them, and then start exploring your avenues of other lead generation, whether that's like I said, knocking on doors or open houses, whatever it is. But commit to it. Once you commit to it, give it some time, be persistent and consistent, and then you will see your business grow at that point. Because otherwise, you'll end up like me and just kind of treading water for a while and trying to figure it out. And I think it's that old saying, paralysis by analysis. Don't think about
I
it too
like that.
much. Just do it.
How much time is realistic? Like, are we talking a couple weeks, month?
Probably longer than that. I think if you're going to be consistent, if you want to make it a habit, I think you're talking months. I mean, you're talking, I say 3 to 6 months in order for you to start seeing some, some results. I mean, if you're really good at it, if you're really
Yeah,
consistent about it, it'll be sooner than that. But, to try to figure it out, it may take you a little bit of time, but I think you need to give yourself a lot of time. I've had people ask me, how do I get into real estate, and how long does it take to start getting your first deals and all that sort of thing? And I said, well, if you're like me, it took me a while, but if you commit to it, this is what it comes down to, committing. You could have business fairly quickly, but don't feel like you're going to have a paycheck in 30 days or 60 days. It may be 90 days or 6 months or a year before you get your first paycheck. But I mean, obviously, that's not ideal.
a lot of people that join our program, they're busy immediately. I mean, there's success out there, but the consistency definitely takes time to just systemize and get built up and grow that brand. And then I talk to agents all the time that I ask them what they want to sell this year, and I want to sell 50 homes. Okay, well, what's your plan? Well, I got to build a plan. Okay, that's going to take time. So, plugging into a plan and getting out there and just figuring it out is important. You've got to know what it's like to talk to clients and what it's like to hear their concerns and how to overcome objections and all that. So that takes a little bit of time. You're going to have wins in there, but the consistency is when you break through those, and we've had a lot of talks about this, when you break through those ceilings and you feel like, okay, I've got that objection figured out. Like now when they say that, I know exactly how to respond to that. I think you and I were talking a week or so ago about back in the day, back when I started, when you started too, we'd sit in front of the house before a listing appointment and just like have to psych ourselves up, and try to get in the zone to be able to go into that listing appointment. And now we just show up and we're, our shirts unbuttoned, we're buttoning up our shirt and grabbing all of our paperwork and getting the last drink and then walking to the door. It's just a very different thing, but provides a lot of confidence when you know that you can go into any situation and you've got you can get out of it. You know how to address it, how to deal with it, and that just takes time. That's the time part. But as far as
Right.
like business, I mean, when you started coaching with me, you were instantly in business, right? We immediately plugged into lead sources that had you producing. The consistency took a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it took a little bit of time for me to kind of get acclimated, but right at the beginning, I was getting a lot more business, and it was consistent business, and so even surprised myself as to how much it was. So, but it was nice. It was nice, and it actually so everybody talks about getting experience. That's one way. I mean, as soon as you start getting that consistent business, then yeah, you feel like you're a more experienced agent, and then that breeds confidence, and then breeds more business. So it's just going to exponentially grow and help you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Bruce, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. I know you're a busy guy. Congratulations on all your successes and your vacations. I live vicariously through you, so I'm glad you're getting out there and seeing the world. But I really do appreciate you taking some time and sharing your experience because we all, every agent I talk to wants to have a career of 20 plus years. Most of them don't make it that far. So you've already surpassed most of the agents out there, but it's possible. You just got to build. You got to be very intentional and about building a consistent business and something with a system. So you've done a phenomenal job. I've really enjoyed being a part of it. I've learned just as much from you as I've tried to information I've tried to give you. So I really appreciate our relationship. It's been awesome.